Welcome, friends. It's time to get your cacao ready and settle in as we join for another episode of Meagan Hopper Presents The Cacao Crowd, where we'll connect to heal, empower, and learn to love ourselves a little more each day. Hey, guys. Luckily, my producer was getting me, and I realized I was staring into space, so he started dancing. Thank you, Brian. Welcome to another episode. And this one's gonna hit home for a lot of people. Maybe you feel like you lost your zest for life. You're just tired all the time. Your metabolism's gotten slower, and everybody tells you, "Oh, it's just part of getting older. That's just what happens." But what if it wasn't? What if there was something else going on? And even better, what if there was a way that you could end and reverse all of that unpleasant stuff that you'd prefer to not have? So that's exactly what we're going to be getting into today. My guest, Miranda Hall Foster, is here joining us virtually. So let's give her a welcome in. Hello, Miranda.
Hello. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you. Thanks for joining all the way from Canada.
Yep.
Awesome. I love that part of this show that, we connect everywhere. We have listeners in Canada. We have listeners in Ireland. We have listeners in, I think China, there was somebody. So, we're going global.
It's so great.
Yeah. And coincidentally, that's kind of the whole, how the cacao crowd, how the cacao family works. And the amount of people that I've met through cacao, that we are all global. So kind of perfectly leads into our cacao segment that we do. And since you are part of the cacao family, you have cacao with you at home.
I do. I have my own here.
Yay. So what's in your cacao today?
Pardon me?
What's in your cacao today?
Today, I have some coconut milk and cinnamon. That's what I've added into it.
Nice. I like it. Simple, but healthy. Very healthy. So in studio, we always go over kind of one ingredient that's a little bit, special. So we've got Keats cacao, filtered water, maple syrup, all the standards. And then I've added a D3K2 tincture. So D3 and K2 are vitamins, which I don't usually necessarily get into in terms of things that I'm adding to the cacao, but it's a D3K2 tincture. D3K2 is even more important. So it's two different vitamins, but taking them together helps absorb the other. So that's why it's important to have one supplement or one tincture that's got them both, or put them both into one thing. It's super important as we get into the colder months, as people stop going outside, as people put on more clothes and cover more skin, because usually your D3 is coming in through absorption of sunlight. So the things that D3K2 blend can do, it can help strengthen your bones. It gives you immune boosts. It can help prevent heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and even autoimmune disorders. So it's definitely a powerhouse, and definitely something that you don't want to be deficient of. So having said all of that, having educated everybody on a new fun thing, let's do a little blessing, a little ceremony like we always do. I like to close my eyes and hold my cacao in front of my heart, as this is a heart-centered medicine. Take a big inhale. Let the scent fill you, and exhale everything that no longer serves you. Everything that came before this moment today, just let it go. And feeling that gratitude, that warmth, thanking all of our guides and guardians, all of the plant, animal, and nature spirits, Mama Cacao, our ancestors and relatives, and all of our friends and family, seen and unseen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Giving your cacao a stir if you've got some goodies in there, as Keith would say. Taking a sip. Feeling it passing over the back of your tongue, down through your throat, your heart, energizing, warming, and lighting up your solar plex, your sacral, and down to your root, connecting you back to the earth. Taking another sip. And feeling it this time going upwards, past your third eye or brow center, out your crown, and connecting you to everything above. Feeling that open expansion at the top, and feeling that stability and support from below. Knowing that right where you are in this moment is exactly what's right for you. And taking another inhale. Exhaling all of that gratitude, that magic, that light, that love, sharing that, spreading that with everyone around you. And now that we've got a little bit of extra energy, a little bit of boost, we can go into our fun fact, because fun facts are fun. So our fun fact today kind of goes back to one of my other hobbies, improv comedy, or comedy in general. And the fun fact for today is the oldest your mom joke is from a 3,500-year-old Babylonian tablet. Archaeologists, there we go, I can talk, discovered and then subsequently lost. So they don't know where it is anymore, but they do have pictures. They discovered it in 1976. And during translations, they found out that this tablet just had a ton of jokes on it, including a section that said, "Of your mother is by the one who has intercourse with her. What, who is it?" So it's not a good your mom joke. It's not one we understand. But because of the context of the tablet, we do know that it is actually a your mom joke. So your mom jokes are at least 3,500 years old. Just a fun little bit.
That is fun.
Okay, so getting into our segment today, and like I said, it's a very relatable, very important segment. It's a very buzzwordy kind of segment, because now a lot of times you'll hear the words adrenal fatigue put together. And it's kind of a catch-all, if you ask me, about a lot of symptoms that people are experiencing. But let's really dig into it and understand the symptoms, the complexities, and then the resolutions for it, to try to help you guys out, because who wants to be tired all the time and have slow metabolism and feel like garbage? So, Miranda, if you were to summarize adrenal fatigue, what would be your, dictionary summary of adrenal fatigue?
Oh, of the syndrome in general.
Yes.
Well, yeah, just the adrenals are glands that sit on top of the kidney, and they produce quite a lot of hormones that influence a lot of different parts of our body. And when it's not functioning well or properly, the hormones are not made, and you can have a wide range, a wide variety of symptoms.
Now, I just want to back up a second, because you're definitely speaking in very kind of doctory terms, and with that very what's the word? Scholarly kind of backing to it. So why don't you quick also just tell everyone what your background is? Because I know you have some qualifications in here that are much different than the side that I come from on these.
Okay. I'm trained as a manual osteopath as well as a physiotherapist. And that's really my and kinesiology as well. That's sort of my, I guess, scholarly training as you said it. And then, yeah, and also from my own health and wellness issues throughout my life, I've done a lot of research on my own to outside of the Western perspective.
And if we were to break down the terms manual osteopath, because that's a mouthful.
Yes. Yes. In Canada, osteopathy is a different training than in the US. In the US, it is a doctor's, you are a doctor, they are doctors of osteopathy. In Canada, it is not a medical degree. It is purely a manual program, meaning it's all hands-on techniques, though understanding the anatomy, physiology, and functioning of the body, and when it's in dysfunction or out of function, there's always a reason why. And so it's not just working on bones, muscles, joints, it's understanding how the nervous system works together and how you can activate it, stimulate it, or suppress it or lower it, how the immune system, how everything functions, and how you can get at every level of the body from manually working on the body.
Perfect. So here that would be more like a naturopath or a DO or something.
Similar, well, because I do craniosacral therapy, I do visceral manipulation. There is no prescribing of medication. Of course, I can give advice based on how the body is, but 80% of my treatments are hands-on techniques to get the system moving and working back to its natural state.
Awesome. Okay. So thank you. I just want to make sure that our viewers, listeners understand the different perspectives that we come from on this issue, and that you're getting credit for all of this training that you have done.
Thank you. Thank you.
So symptoms of adrenal fatigue, like you just mentioned, if your adrenals aren't working, there's a lot of things that aren't working.
Right.
I've mentioned a couple of them, just being tired, your metabolism being shot, just feeling like you're not yourself. What are kind of the top 10 of most prominent symptoms that you hear about?
Well, and you've certainly hit it on the head with fatigue, excessive fatigue, waking up not feeling rested, that kind of fatigue. Even I've worked through this myself, and for me, it was gravity felt heavy. Being upright felt heavy. It was work to actually be standing or sitting up at its worst. That is difficulty losing weight, so metabolism changes, hormonal changes, so possibly irregular menstruation or periods, and anything related to that, even up to the point of, if it's really bad, possibly hair loss as well, depending on if the thyroid is affected. There could be gut issues related to leaky gut, food sensitivities. That's a possibility as well. And even difficulty sleep and falling asleep also are common things.
So it kind of sounds like, and I almost kind of feel like I'm leading the witness here, because this is something that I've dealt with myself as well. When I went to all of the different doctors over and over and over, and they could never figure out what was wrong with me, and my tons of research came across this, realized this is what was happening. But it really sounds like almost anything that your body is going through could potentially be adrenal fatigue.
It could potentially. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's why, it's funny, like anytime that I'm working with a new client, like, okay, and let's look at this to see if it's your adrenals, and let's look at this to see what your inflammation is, and let's look at this to see if you have to detox. It's like the top 3 things.
Absolutely.
Okay. So why does adrenal fatigue even exist? Let's dig into that. What causes it?
Yeah, well, it certainly can be a multi-level approach, but I mean, I know where I always look at, usually initially, or the first thing I look at is our stress levels. A lot of people in the world these days are living in worry, anxiety, and fear, and excuse me, which keeps us in the fight or flight, right? Which is where the adrenals produce all the hormones for that. Though the challenge is that fight or flight is meant to be for a moment and then not for another moment. Run away from the bear, and when you get to your cave, you're good and chill out. Where here in our society, everything is stressed. Driving to work is stressful. Then you're at work, and then you're stressed out about deadlines all day, and then you're stressed about the kids or the food, and we don't often have those moments of the opposite side of the nervous system, which is the rest and digest.
Right. And from my side of things, how I look at adrenal fatigue is from that kind of meridian standpoint, the energetic standpoint, showing where those kind of blocks are on that energetic meridian highway system that is your body. So like you brought out the example of bear, run away. And if you look at animals, then when the animals are running from each other, when the one escapes, it starts shaking. That's how it gets everything out. But we never shake. We just forgot. We stopped shaking. But the other part of it, and the part that you looked at for yourself too, is all of the buildup of all of the toxicity and all the things that are in our environments and that we ingest and everything else, right?
Yeah, what I found made the biggest difference for myself personally was doing a cleanse to get rid of glyphosate, which is Roundup. And I had toxic levels of it, and had so many, even just like symptoms where my doctors were like, I don't even understand. I was getting fevers for no reason. Fevers were not fighting bugs. I was just getting fevers for like a week at a time for no reason. And doctors saying, oh, your brain short circuiting. We don't know why, but yeah, it's like toxic load of the glyphosate or Roundup can certainly contribute. And then you have that whole system where your adrenals are not working, you're overloaded in toxic ways. And then I had food sensitivities, I wasn't digesting well, so I wasn't absorbing the nutrients that I needed, I wasn't absorbing the water well that I needed, so I wasn't replenishing my body or system in the ways that are necessary to continue to thrive. And all of my symptoms I had a wall 10 years ago, and they continued to worsen until about 6 months ago when I finally found the right cleanse for me that worked for me.
Awesome. Well, not awesome that you had the symptoms. Awesome that you found the thing that works for you.
Absolutely. And I know it's something that you recommend, which I do now as well.
Yeah, because you mentioned you weren't digesting properly. You had food sensitivities. All of this was going on, and I think what's really important to make sure that everyone understands is when your body goes into that fight or flight, which is now increased to fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So there are other things that you may be doing in reaction to the world around you that you don't even realize is a survival tactic, a survival instinct. But when you're constantly on that, every time that your body goes into that response, it shuts everything else down, because your body is only focused on stay alive. And in that essence, in that instance, it's get away from the danger to stay alive, not remember to breathe, not remember to breathe through your diaphragm, not remember to digest your food, not absorb all of the nutrients, not enjoy life. It's literally just run away. So everything is shutting down. So you're just getting all these buildups of pockets, and it can be an energetic pocket, or like you had, it can be realistically a pocket of this toxic material.
Well, absolutely. And it absolutely is multi-level. I had been working at the energetic meridian level with acupuncture. And I got to a level of improvement, but was hitting this barrier. Also working on my beliefs and perceptions and reactions to the world and to society, and staying centered in my heart. Not having the fear reaction immediately to something new. So working in all the levels, but it was something the physical level was the last piece for me to get me over that hump into the improvement stage.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's all of the levels, because adrenal fatigue is an all-encompassing issue. So definitely all of the levels. So let's dig into a little more about what specifically you did to help alleviate those symptoms that you're experiencing. I know you mentioned a detox. If you feel inclined to, feel free to share as much detail about that as you wish, names, all of that. But,
Yeah.
up to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, the biggest thing was to cleanse out the glyphosate for me, and the main substance that I use is fulvic acid. Yeah, so amazing at happy metal detox, cleansing out at the same time. I mean, I have them here, but it wasn't simply the fulvic acid. It was also because the digestion wasn't doing well, leaky gut. I had adding prebiotics, probiotics to heal the gut. It was a full 30-day cleanse called the Ultimate Lifestyle Transformation that has the prebiotic, probiotic, fulvic acid. It's sort of like a super green shake that you make every day as well. So getting non-GMO, pesticide-free, getting all your superfoods, all the super nutrients, all the macronutrients, including like spirulina and sea greens, just to make sure you get everything in at the same time, because it's in a powdered form. Your body doesn't have to work to digest. So the digestive system got to take a break. You do get all of the nutrients. So there actually weren't any sugar spikes or crashes, because they also had sprouted wheatgrass and quinoa. I can't even remember all the ingredients. It was really amazing. All into one. I didn't even have to think about it. Right. And also had things like tart cherry juice for some natural melatonin production before bed, so to help with your sleep. I'm trying to think if that was everything in. And then, of course, the vitamins, if it wasn't in the shake, extra vitamins as K3. I take something called Zinc Aid with zinc A, C, D, and E. All of that. And then the extra meals that I made were all organic, to not re-add in more glyphosate as I was trying to cleanse it out. So it was 30 days on that. And certainly by the end of it, I mean, I was only able to work 4 hours a day up until starting that cleanse. I was still having that much of a challenge. And now I think yesterday I worked 14 hours.
Well, I mean, 14 hours if you're enjoying your job, but also
Yes.
please don't use this as an excuse to overwork yourself.
That's a very good point, because that's what can contribute to it. But yes,
right, because then you will end up back down in that rabbit hole.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, that's how I did it. And I mean, there's lots of different ways to do it, but I loved how it all came in one package. It came as one structure with all the instructions, so you didn't have to think for yourself. And for me now, I can't say enough about it.
And for a lot of people, that's a good way, because then you're not stressed about, I have to remember this, I have to remember this, I have to remember this. It's all there. Whereas for me, that stresses me out. That I'm I have to be totally regimented with exactly what's here. So for me, I get a zeolite spray and fulvic acid, and I just make sure that I'm eating super clean. And every so often I'll do a week that's just vegetables and maybe some quinoa for a little bit of protein. But yeah, for me, having that adjustability makes me less stressed. So
that's nice.
Right. So it's all in what works best for you.
Absolutely.
And then in terms of the energetic process, because there's a whole bunch of this that is tied to the energetic process too, making sure that we're conscious, that we're not just, like you said, just reacting, but responding to all of the stimulus around us. So if you had to give one bit of advice on how to respond instead of react, what would you say?
How to respond instead of react? That's a really good question. Well, I know what helped me get to the place of not reacting and being able to respond was there's sort of two levels. One was a meditative practice, to be present in the moment, so that when you're having a response, it's not based on what I thought of the person yesterday or something, right? It's about in this moment and what's going on exactly now. It's not that I'm annoyed that my dog, whatever, went to the bathroom on the carpet this morning. It's about what's in this moment and what's happening, right? It's about being presence practice is what I call that. And doing that inner work, which is sort of that, what I was alluding to, that if, like for me, fear was the instant reaction that I learned as a child, was just to be afraid of my surroundings and what was going on, because I would always get in trouble, and so I had to like tiptoe, right? So it was like doing that inner work of cleaning that up from that learned behavior that didn't apply in the current moment. So I could be present, but if I still had a behavior I didn't know I was doing, it would still come out. So shadow work, inner child work. That's why I learned all of that and did quite a lot on Keith's porch with the cacao.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And we are going to have another episode coming up that will go over ways to be kind to your inner child. So thank you for that segue.
I'll be watching for sure.
Awesome. Okay. Anything else that you feel like is just a pinnacle piece of advice for people that are suffering with all of these symptoms and going to doctor after doctor and on that medical hamster wheel and not getting the answers they want? And this is probably what's going on with them.
And really, there is an answer. There is a solution. And if you're watching this, we can help.
You have found it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that's why I love that, as you understand the fullest approach, the inner work, the meridian and energetic, as well as the physical, and being able to approach it in whatever combination, whatever order feels best or feels right. Baby steps or jump right in. There's no right or wrong way to do it. At the same time, there is an answer. And if you're looking for it, yeah, it's time.
Nice. So since you mentioned that a lot of your work is hands-on, do you only work with people who are local to you, or do you do virtual work as well?
I do virtual work as well. I also do sort of life, relationship, and health alchemy coaching. That's sort of what I call it at the time, including the inner work and shadow work as well, if that's needed. So, yep, it's available.
Awesome. And if someone wanted to reach out to you to work with you one-on-one, how would they find you?
My handle is Thrive with Miranda Foster. I do like to give my email because I did just get married, so things are changing a little bit. So that's wonderful.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. My email will stay the same, which will be Thrive with MF, short form for Miranda Foster, at protonmail.com.
Awesome. And both of those are down in the show notes. So if you missed it, didn't hear it, need to go back and write it down, prefer to just copy and paste, it's all available there. Miranda, thank you so much for joining us today. I know it's, time differences and everything, but I definitely appreciate you being here with us and all of your insight. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure.
Awesome. And guys, if you like the show, if this helps you, if there's something else that you want us to cover, that you want me to find some resources about, summarize for you, make more reachable, understandable, let me know. Join the Facebook group and send me some messages. Send me a message on Instagram. Connect with me on TikTok, wherever it is. Just, get it to me and I will make that episode happen. Feel free to share with your friends. Make sure you subscribe on whatever platform works for you. And thank you so much for joining us again.